Well, good morning. We don't color on the dog. Had the grand opening for American Magic's headquarters at the Port of Pensacola. Big announcement about Sail GP. Mayor, for our listeners and viewers, what's Sail GP and what does this mean for Pensacola?
Yeah, obviously, great event on Wednesday, and couldn't be more excited to, again, as you've heard me say so many times, plant our flag as the sailing destination of the United States. And certainly, I think you can say after yesterday, in the world, one of the biggest sailing destinations in the world. So, Sail GP, the easiest way to explain it, if you follow any type of sports, is it's the F1 of sailing, it's the NASCAR of sailing, it's the unequivocal, most prestigious tour of sailing in the world. All of the drivers on the 14 teams are gold medalists running the America's Cup. As a matter of fact, an American Magic sailor is actually captaining the Australian team in Sail GP. So and he's from Australia, Tom Slingsby. So it's really a huge, huge win for us to have this type of exposure. This is a very well funded, very well organized league that is momentum's only growing, and to be able to now say, hey, all of the offseason training for all 14 teams is going to be happening here in Pensacola is certainly a huge, huge win for us, not only from that prestige factor, but also from the economic development factor. This means 14 teams and their support systems and their drivers, everything, they will be coming in and out of our airport and in and out of being on our water for 3 or 4 months a year. And so that's people spending money in our city, staying in hotels, and certainly gives us a big badge of honor within this industry and within sports as a whole.
Well, it's also a revenue stream for our headquarters here at the port. Now that we'll have these teams, they'll be training them. That helps make them more viable. American Magic's group here becomes that much more viable financially because that's a revenue stream for them.
It does, and it's that catalyst factor that we talked about, and I talked about on Wednesday. That it's one thing, and it's so amazing, and I'm so excited for just this sailing aspect. But I think this is just the microcosm, exactly what you said. Of there's more than just sailing. There's more than just a sailing team. You really have to think of American Magic. American Magic is a brand of sailing. I know a lot of people associate American Magic with just the team that ran in the America's Cup. That's one fraction of what they do. And I think this illustrates it, is to say, hey, we're going to be the maintenance and training home for an entire world league. It goes to show you not only their expertise, but our ability to catalyze manufacturing, repair, maintenance, all these different things that American Magic going to be able to do that are well beyond just racing in one race every 3 years. And so I think we see that now. I know that they've had conversations with ST Engineering. I know that they've had conversations with the Project Mave folks about it, and those are all very positive and moving in a good direction. So I think this is just scratching the surface of the type of impact that American Magic can have well beyond when you see their sail up on the water.
Well, when you look at this league, I went to their website. You're seeing them. They're in Australia. They're in New York. They're in Bermuda. They are, all over the world where they're having their races. And there are a lot of different components. In fact, I'll probably use some of what they've done in an article because they do a lot of things at these races. The competition, all the boats are the same, so no boat has an advantage over anyone else, which also helps with the training factor here because we can train them here on the boats that they'll use without having to necessarily bring their boat here. But in the overall purse is over almost $13 million when you add up all the races and what these teams can win. So financially, it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, these teams can be worth 70, 80, 100 million plus. And that, I mean, compared to where it was 5 years ago, it was significantly less than that. I think it shows the trajectory of the league. To your point, look at where they go. I mean, they're in major cities all over the world. I think they finish in Dubai and Abu Dhabi as the final, and they start in Australia for a couple of weeks in January. And so it's a strong league with a lot of momentum. I think they've been very intentional about, listen, we all see the momentum F1 has brought to that sport that 20 years ago we weren't really talking about. And I think they're following kind of that same playbook to say, hey, here's fleet racing. It's even more exciting than the America's Cup in the sense America's Cup is one-on-one racing for over a couple of months. A Sail GP event is 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and everybody's on the water. So, not only do you need to be fast, you need to be nimble too. You got to be working around 13 other boats. And so I think the product is exciting. And again, to have to be their maintenance hub. As a matter of fact, something a lot of people don't know, if you there's a big highlight from last season for SailGP where one of the masts broke. I believe it was the Australian team. One of the masts broke during one of the races, just snapped in half. It was a pretty scary kind of episode. Well, what did they do? They actually brought all the boats to American Magic, and American Magic's team fixed all of them. This was this past season, so obviously they didn't, make that public for many reasons. But I think it's that relationship, that trust that they already saw to say, hey, they know what they're doing. They didn't have another major issue again with those boats. So again, I think this is just the start of really an amazing relationship, and I think there's more to come. I think this relationship. We could hear something as soon as next week about how this relationship with Pensacola, American Magic, and SailGP grows even further.
How did this come together with SailGP? I know that you've been keeping in touch with American Magic, with Tyson and them through all this process. How did this come together?
Yeah, it really, I think, again, it goes back to credibility and trust, that when you have one of the most advanced sailing teams in the world, when you say we're interested in this, or we want to see this partnership, leagues like SailGP and teams that are in SailGP and those ownership groups certainly believe what you say when you've walked the walk in this sport, the way that Doug DeVos has and the way that American Magic has. It really goes back to what I've talked about so many times, this idea of when you can plant your flag and say, hey, we've got one of the best sailing teams in the world here, other things fall in line, other things, I think this is just the start of those types of things, whether it's sail makers, whether it's manufacturers for boats, all of those different things. I think they're going to say, well, man, that's a product, a brand that I trust in American Magic. They must be here for some reason. Why don't we go there? And I would really put SailGP in that same category. Certainly, we would not be talking about SailGP coming to Pensacola if it wasn't for the credibility that American Magic has in this space. So I'm excited for it. Obviously, those conversations have gone between American Magic and SailGP, but of course we've been right there in lockstep with them because there's going to be other presence in that building on the port, having to come in and out and all of that. And so, but we've been fully supportive of it. And again, I think this gives us an opportunity to really be on the world stage.
Well, and it builds on, I know that one of the goals when we did the tour, when it was still just a shell back in September, was in talking to Tyson and talking in your conversations and everything, was that they needed to create revenue streams so that it's more than just a racing team, because a racing team is a loss leader.
Right.
Because of America's Cup, it's winner take all. It's one of the reasons they dropped out of that competition right now was because it was a winner take all, and this creates revenue streams. It keeps those guys and men and women working constantly because they're working on building and perfecting in the science of racing, and now the training.
Yeah, and that's the interesting and exciting dynamic of the whole project, is that you really have these two different platforms. Platform one is the obvious, the sailing part of it, and seeing Pensacola on the flag when they're sailing around in Barcelona, right? Although that kind of prestige sailing piece. And then let us not forget, how did we get here? How did we fund a $20 million building? It's job creation. At the end of the day, obviously the prestige is amazing and is going to do amazing things for our city, our region, our community to have them here. But the bread and butter is going to be creating high-paying jobs. And the reason we got $8.5 million from Triumph, the reason we got $5.5, $6 million from the governor's office, the reason all of these people have stepped up is to say, hey, let's create high-paying jobs. And that, again, I think we're on the start of an amazing evolution of that. We're already starting to see. I love that Pensacola State kids have already been interning and then hired full-time already before this announcement even took place. Jeff is all in. I mean, we had an all hands, meeting between American Magic, University of West Florida, all of their leadership about how we make that wave engineering program the best it can be. They're already on port, and we're going to continue to push that forward. So the excitement for me in this project isn't just the stuff you see on the above the fold, or the stuff that you see that we're going to see on Instagram about our boat flying around or whatever, our SailGP. It's not that. It's really, to me, more of a economic driver. And to have a project that really meets both of those things, that's got prestige and is creating jobs, is something I'm very, very excited.
Well, it's a great start to 2026, without a doubt.
That's right. Absolutely.
That's right. Mayor, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Ah, Thanks for watching, and to keep up with what's going on, be sure and subscribe. Just click on the little dog to the right and click the subscribe button. You can also like this video and click on the bell, which will notify you of new content. This really helps the channel grow. We appreciate you.